Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you for attending. We're pleased all of you could share in today's events as we recognize Major Elis Salamoni on the occasion of her promotion to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Air Force. Please rise for the arrival of the official party. Please be seated. We would like to welcome our distinguished guests, Colonel Dan Carl, Director, Telemedicine and Advanced Technology Research Center, and Lieutenant Colonel Rebecca Lear, Associate Director, Air Force Nurse Corps, Deputy Division Chief Medical Manpower and Personnel. We are also pleased to have with us today Major Salamoni's family. First and foremost, her parents from Fredericksburg, Virginia, Mr. McKinley and Mrs. Julia Vaughn. Her sister, brother-in-law, and nephews from Trumbull, Connecticut, Mrs. Heidi and Dr. Brian De La Rosa, along with their adorable sons, Lucas, Logan, and Dylan. Lastly, and certainly not least, Major Salamoni's son from Arlington, Virginia, J.J. Nell Jr. While time does not permit to individually recognize everyone, thank you to all of you for taking the time from your busy schedules to join us in celebrating this special occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm round of applause for all our honored and distinguished guests. Please rise for the playing of the national anthem by J.J. Nell Jr.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, JJ, for that beautiful rendition of the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Cindy Connor.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, family, friends, and colleagues. Thank you for coming out to celebrate this momentous occasion for newly promoted Lieutenant Colonel Elis Salamoni. Man, does that sound awesome. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to officiate her ceremony today. There isn't a more fitting setting than the Women's Memorial to acknowledge all that Lieutenant Colonel Salamoni has accomplished. This memorial is a living reminder honoring women who have served in our nation's defense during all eras, in all services, past, present, and future. You will soon see why this memorial is the perfect venue, to recognize all that Lieutenant Colonel Salamone has done in support of this great nation. She would not be standing here today if it wasn't for the love of her country, her relentless sacrifices, her undying dedication to the mission and to those under your leadership, and her immense passion to provide patient-centered health care. To fully appreciate what Elis has done, it's important to know who she is and where she came from. Elis was born in Puerto Rico, pretty good, okay, not bad for a Caucasian chick, and raised in Connecticut. In 1985, at the age of 18, she enlisted in the Army as a personnel administrative assistant, specialist. While in the Army, she was assigned to Fort Dix, New Jersey, and Camp Humphreys in Korea. And in 1988, when her tour ended, she separated from the Army. She attended Marymount University in Arlington, Virginia, and in 1994 graduated with her bachelor's in nursing. She was then commissioned in the Army Reserves, although her goal was to attain an active duty commission. While attending the Army Reserve Officer's Basic Course, Elis was notified that she was awarded an Air Force commission, active duty commission. Her dream came true, and hence she began her phenomenal Air Force career in 1995 in San Antonio, Texas. Time does not permit to recognize all that Elis has done, but I would like to mention a few highlights. Elis is extremely humble and won't brag about all her accomplishments, so I'll do it for her. Her first assignment was in the neonatal ICU at Wolford Hall Medical Center. She not only cared for the sickest, but became a certified instructor in neonatal resuscitation as a new graduate. She then went on to the OB inpatient and clinic departments at both Andrews Air Force Base and Royal Air Force Lakenheath, England. She cared for laboring mothers and their newborns. She furthered her teaching credentials by becoming a certified CPR and pediatric advanced life support instructor and cared for over 2,000 patients in an outpatient clinic setting. She hit the ground running. Elis then decided she needed a change of pace and applied for the operating room cross-training program, and that's where we met. Thank goodness, Elis is the sweetest, most generous person I know, and boy, can this girl shop. I've met my match. We hit it off instantly and served as a support system to one another during a 3-month course and have been there for each other as a friend, colleague, and mentor. Once she completed the program, she was assigned to Andrews Air Force Base yet again and began her perioperative career. During that time, she flourished and led the general surgery, urology, orthopedic, and GYN specialties. And believe me, those ain't easy specialties to manage. She garnered multiple awards to include quarterly, yearly, and the Department of Defense's Patient Safety Award. Because of Elis's phenomenal work ethic, she was selected as the executive officer for the 79th Medical Group Commander, a position reserved for only the best of the best. She served as an advisor to 4 squadron commanders in support of 1,500 staff. Elis was then deployed to the aeromedical staging facility at both Andrews and at Ramstein, where she found one of her true passions, taking care of the wounded. She led 21 staff to care for over 4,000 U.S. and NATO troops, and under her exceptional leadership, her team earned 11 recognition awards. Her drive to do more didn't stop there. Elis pursued her second passion and applied and was accepted into the Women's Health Nurse Practitioner program. There she excelled yet again. She secured a 3.9 GPA and was the recipient of the Temple Memorial Award. She was invited to be a member of the Sigma Theta Tau International Honor Society, an organization reserved for individuals who exhibit exceptional achievements in nursing. After completion of her program, Elis was assigned to Peterson Air Force Base. She further outshined her peers through her hard work, dedication, and leadership, as her clinic earned a #1 rating for productivity and secured an excellent inspection rating. During Elis's time at Peterson, she was asked yet again to support her nation's freedom. She was selected to command the first female treatment team in Operation Enduring Freedom with a Special Operation Task Force, and those were some gung-ho people. This proved to be a challenging yet rewarding time for her. She persevered and under severe austere conditions, and I'm talking severe. There is no campsite that can compare to where Elis called home for 6 months. Cared for over 500 patients, performed trauma procedures, air evacuated countless coalition forces, and taught the host nation medics how to care for the wounded. This is the only girl I know who looks amazing in combat gear. Hair and makeup perfect, I always say, just because you're in a war doesn't mean that you have to look like you've been through a war. She still maintained her infectious smile and looked sassy doing it. In addition, Elis has an immense passion for education. During this busy career, she has managed to obtain a bachelor's degree, 2 master's degrees, and multiple certifications. Dang, girl, you go. Lastly, not only does everyone in this room think you are simply amazing, so do those that you have served under. Here are a few accolades of what Elis's leaders have said about her. Leadership beyond peers, unwavering dedication to duty, phenomenal war-tested leader, acclaimed leader and provider, nurse with great potential, driven to succeed, every task given a success, and the list goes on and on. So today signifies the culmination of over 27 years of military service in a vast variety of roles and in 2 different services. This is why the Women's Memorial is the perfect place to recognize her accomplishments. Now for me. Elise, you have been my best bud, my sister and my rock for 12 years, and hopefully for 60 more. Where are those tissues? I have fake eyelashes on, so I can't cry. I'll fall off. I have looked to you for inspiration during my most challenging times. You are an amazing friend, human being, healthcare provider, officer, and leader. Those who know you are blessed, and those who don't know what they're missing. No one is more deserving of this promotion than you. You have done it all and have been through it all. I wish you the best in your future Air Force endeavors. I love you and thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to be part of your special day. Lastly, I would like to leave you with this poem, which I revised, so bear in mind I'm no poet. And so I took some of the words from Patrick Thibault in honor of your deployment to Afghanistan, which I believe was one of the defining moments in your life. Here is a female medic walking down the street. She has a lifetime of experiences, which she is tough enough to be. She knows how to keep quiet and just let things unravel, let everyone do their job as she walks through the gravel. The young guys make fun of her because she's not as fast. She was young like them once and could still kick their ass. She went to college, earned her degree. Her words are backed by wisdom and knowledge, all of which they can't see. Her ranks are high, some judge her by her collar. The rank which she holds are those which is much higher. She was questioned by others as they asked her advice. Who is this female major? Where is the doctor? I want his advice. When she says something to them, she knows it's not in stone, but they don't believe her because she's not one of their own. She might be a sassy female major who treats her own patients and signs her own scripts. She's worked in an inner city clinic and has seen plenty of shit. Sorry, boys. She was asked by a commander if she knew what she was doing. She replied, of course. I'm an Air Force practitioner. This war requires a lot of undoing. She's been around and done that, but in case you get injured, she'll know where you're at. You can't see any of her knowledge, yet you judge her by her gender, but she has many years of college. In her experience, she treats both friend and foe, but it doesn't bother her because she will never say no. She's trained her own medics to be the best, to care for the sick and wounded while serving the rest. The soldier medics knew it. They had the best training given by a female Air Force major who in time of need wouldn't screw it. When she left the campsite, the troops knew she saved their ass and appreciated her efforts. But she was sure glad this journey was over and would hopefully be her last.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the publishing of the orders. Attention to orders. The President of the United States, acting upon the recommendation of the Secretary of the Air Force, has placed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, integrity, and abilities of Major Salamoni. In view of these special qualities and her demonstrated potential to serve in the higher grade, Major Salamoni is promoted to the grade of Lieutenant Colonel, United States Air Force, effective the first day of March 2014 by the order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Please be seated. Mr. and Mrs. Bond, would you please come forward and assist the new Lieutenant Colonel Salamoni with pinning on her new rank?